Ramada, 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 Ramada. Where do I start with Ramada? Ramada is one of the handful of characters where, depending on what part of the franchise you're consuming, his characterization slightly varies. He's a lot cutesier in the phone game and kind of a dick in the musicals. I've already voiced how I felt about his portrayal in the anime, and there will be a link to that video in the description. I think it's safe to say that no matter where you first come across Ramada, it probably isn't apparent how core he is to the plot, or that the second DRB would feel like a ransom call because of him. So I'm going to do my best to sum up everything about Ramada before King Records has a chance to properly kill him off. Ramada's name is based on the katakana pronunciation of the Greek letter lambda, which is used in various types of mathematics and engineering, but the field most relevant to our representative of the Lollipop Guild is computer programming, where a lambda is the symbol for an empty string. Strings are any finite sequence of characters and spaces. An empty string is a string that has a sequence length of 0, and they usually act as placeholders for pending data. In other words, Ramada is named after a type of empty digital space. His brand, Empty Candy, is a synonym of his own name. Empty in reference to the letter lambda, and candy in reference to his last name Amemura, which contains the kanji for candy. Candy is Ramada's lifeline in that he needs to consume the lollipops provided to him by Chuoku to keep his body functioning. But he also likes sweets and junk food in general, making his constant consumption of Chuoku pink candy easy to hide. His body is dependent on these lollipops because he is the first in a series of clones Rei Amayato developed for Chuoku in order to make use of the true hypnosis mic. Hypnosis mics cause strain on their users, but a true hypnosis mic causes so much strain that it kills its user. Every time someone is mind-hacked in the plot, it means that a Ramada clone was sent out to sacrifice himself on Chuoku's orders. The Ramada we know as the leader of Fling Posse is Ramada 01, the first result from this secret cloning program. Ramada is meant to embody Harajuku, the famous fashion neighborhood located within Shibuya. This is one of the reasons that he has a career as a fashion designer. But Ramada's interest in fashion is also symbolic of his self-image as a clone and what he thinks it means to be an original. Originality and design theft is a constant discussion in the world of fashion. Clothing is not protected by copyright laws in most countries due to its utilitarian nature, and legally it's very hard to prove a garment's design to be original. Despite the occasional outcries over knockoffs, it's accepted that design-wise, every outfit is essentially a knockoff of something. That isn't to say that there's no such thing as creativity, where it's actually the exact opposite. If no one's original, then simultaneously everyone is original. Ramada is a cloned copy of an unknown original, and this makes him doubt his own self-worth, where he feels like a knockoff human. For Ramada, designing clothes provides a comfort in that originality doesn't have true meaning or value in the fashion world. Thus, it makes perfect sense that fashion is the first thing Ramada liked and the first way he expressed himself. Fashion was his first step towards seeing his glass as half full. When Ramada inherited his fashion brand, he also inherited the goal of making the world a more fun place from where he stood. Ramada's official quote, "The optimist sees the donut, the pessimist sees the hole," is from a couplet written by the poet Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde was known for rejecting Christian ideals along with the virtue of self-sacrifice, and instead valued joyful experiences and artistic expression. He had eccentric tastes in clothes and promoted the idea of art for art's sake. He also saw optimism as a byproduct of fear. Ramada was created with the purpose of being a tool for Chuoku's takeover, and has no ascription to a higher power other than that of the authoritarian government that brought him into this world. Since Chuoku treats him as an object instead of a human with emotional needs, Ramada suffers from a lack of self-fulfillment and comes to view himself as empty, like the type of string he's named after. But like a donut, even though Ramada feels hollow, there can still be a sweet outer circumference. For Ramada, his lack of purpose is what allows him to be so bouncy and silly, even in the most inappropriate of times. When life has no meaning, you can do whatever you want with it. So Ramada has little need to show decorum or sympathy to others. He laughs at pain and gladly inflicts it. He rarely shows mercy when he uses his mic, and goes to extremes when venting his frustrations. Ramada knows his life can end at a moment's notice, be it due to one of Chuoku's orders or his artificially created body giving out. He wants to have fun while he can, and live in the moment rather than fret about what's going on around him. Ramada's nihilism contrasts with Jakurai's stern belief that life does have a meaning, further adding to their roles as foils of one another in both appearance and personality. It was Ramada's job to assemble the dirty dog and keep an eye on them for Chuoku as their plant. In the musicals, he is the Judas to Jakurai's Jesus, betraying the bonds he'd built with his fellow rappers. But the details of Jakurai's and Ramada's TDD-era relationship are roped off in the manga-exclusive bonus materials. After their initial meeting, Ramada and Jakurai took on a two-way mentor-mentee relationship where Ramada taught Jakurai from the ground up how to rap, while Jakurai became Ramada's only older and more mature presence in his day-to-day that he could look up to. Jakurai attempts to rein in Ramada's nonsense to the point that Ramada describes Jakurai as both a friend and a parent. In the manga-exclusive song Birthday, Ramada also calls Jakurai his partner, and as the duet goes on, the two of them start finishing each other's lines. Jakurai says Ramada opened a whole world for him, and Ramada says Jakurai, filled his hole. No, this does not sound any better in Japanese. The birthday they're rapping about is the creation of Nirvana Posse, and the high they felt from it. The Nirvana part in Nirvana Posse is Kujaku in Japanese, which is the type of Buddhist enlightenment where one reaches a state of complete emptiness. The name follows the same pattern as all the other pre-Dirty Dog duos, where a descriptor representing each half of the team is paired together. Jaku is written with the same kanji as Jakurai's name, and Ku is written with the kanji for empty, which harkens back to Ramada's namesake. While Ramada's formation of Nirvana Posse was part of a larger conspiracy, that doesn't negate all the time that he spent with Jakurai and the bonds they formed from it. Jakurai still scolds Ramada like a parent with his kid's best interest in mind, and we can see glimmers of the sentimentality Ramada still harbors for Jakurai in his hesitancy to mind-hack him. After all, the reason Ramada resents Jakurai so much now is because of how much he cared about him in the past. So when the Dirty Dog comes to an end, and Jakurai addresses Ramada as non-human, the high described in Birthday comes crashing down, and all Ramada can hear is that his best friend and chosen father figure sees him as an object the same way Chuoku does. And in the aftermath of the Dirty Dog breakup, Ramada is left to conclude that his origin as a clone is what deprives him of having meaningful relationships, and that his sense of fulfillment is destined to remain empty. Ramada's character concept is a response to Rei Ayanami from Neon Genesis Evangelion. They're both clones created to perfect a weapon that have an internal conflict to find purpose in their existence. But Ramada is Evangelion Rei's inverse, where she is cool, blue, and lacks emotions, while Ramada is bubbly, pink, and has too many emotions, according to Chuoku. Ramada is considered a defective product, because he has an inability to control his emotions. What makes Ramada's successors complete in Chuoku's eyes is their happy-to-serve disposition that never wavers and implies an inability to think for themselves. The stigma put on Ramada's emotional responses and his mood swings being treated as a defect by the reigning establishment echoes sexist stereotypes placed on women in real life. To clarify, Hypmic's setting is not an example of reverse sexism, despite how hard the Chuoku ladies are working towards that goal. Gender norms from before the coup still hold up, but Ramada is a unique case, where he is the only character for whom Chuoku's authority is absolute. He is Chuoku's property, and they can dispose of him on a whim. And Ramada has to mentally process this fact while being told he's a failure for even getting upset about it. Even though Chuoku is the source of Ramada's fears and insecurities, he's constantly seeking female attention. The positivity and praise he receives from the Onesans of Shibuya is a substitute for the approval and recognition Chuoku deprives him of. The revolving door of Onesans Ramada escorts functions both as model recruitment for his fashion brand and as a cover for his communications with the government. Ramada has some kind of pickup line or reference to promiscuity in almost every song he's in. The Fling part of Fling Posse is based on how Ramada anticipated his relationship with his teammates to be short and shallow, like a sexual fling. Ramada's multitude of trysts with nameless onaisons are a way for Ramada to have fun in the short term and feel valuable to the ruling class of women, while supplementing his desire to be seen as human by the matriarch that treats him as nothing but a guinea pig. His speaker is literal eye candy. It plays both into the creepy cute aesthetic Shibuya's made famous and the reputation Ramada's made for himself among local onaisons. His pop candy idol persona pulls from artists like Kieri Piamu Piamu and the anime franchises like Pre-Para, which capitalize on Harajuku's signature blend of cuteness and consumerism. Fling Posse's music as a whole is more influenced by this particular branch of J-pop than it is by hip-hop or rap. However, that doesn't mean Fling Posse is unfazed by Hypmic's mainstay genres. The Posse part of Ramada's team names is a reference to the album NWA and the Posse, released by the influential rap group NWA, whose fame and ugly breakup helped inspire the Dirty Dog. Ramada's MC name, Easy R, serves as both a sexual innuendo to describe his flirtatious ego and as reference to the NWA member Eazy-E, who is also a short, skirt-chasing gremlin. Ramada's dual identity as Shibuya's adored fashion personality and as Chuoku's fabricated agent is what connects him to the other two members of Fling Posse. While Ramada, Gentaro, and That Idiot seem like an arbitrary combination, they are tied together by the Japanese pun kakushigoto, which can mean either secret or a job that involves the verb kaku. Depending on the kanji it's written with, kaku can mean to draw or to write, or it can resemble kake, meaning bet. And everyone in Fling Posse has a kakushigoto. Ramada's job is to draw fashion designs, Gentaro's job is to write books, and Dice's job is essentially to place bets. And they're all hiding a big secret. And what these secrets have in common is that they are all eventually confirmed to involve Chuoku. These secrets are all foreshadowed in the group song Stella, where Fling Posse are assigned roles within the song's fantastical sci-fi setting that relate to each of their secrets, though slightly adjusted. Dice is already a king instead of a runaway heir. Gentaro is a bandit who steals tangible assets instead of an identity thief. And Ramada is a scientist instead of the product of science. Ramada lives alone on an icy planet, having lost his humanity and forgetting his purpose, until he finds comrades in Dice and Gentaro, and the trio take to the stars together. Following up this song is Ramada's second solo, Pink Colored Love. His cheery call-outs to onaisons are eerily reverberated, and Ramada says something is wrong as his vocals start to glitch out. Released with the same CD is the drama track titled The Loneliness, Tears, and Hopes of a Marionette. This was the track where Ramada was revealed to be a clone for the first time in the franchise, and where his body begins to seriously break down. Dice and Gentaro help save him from being assassinated by his fellow clones, and it's thanks to Dice and Gentaro remaining by Ramada's side, even after learning his secret, that helps Ramada begin to value his own life and recognize his own humanity. The three set their sights on winning the DRB in order to find a way to keep Ramada alive. Ramada's negative moods have been deemed by fans as his dark side. Yami Ramada most often comes out when the topic of Chuoku arises, but we don't get to hear Yami Ramada in a song until Reason to Fight. This marks where Ramada begins to separate how Chuoku sees him from how he sees himself. Ramada has had to learn to value his own life, despite that going against everything Chuoku has instilled in him. With everything on the line for the second DRB, he's cutting loose and openly letting his anger show, no longer trying to suppress his unpleasant emotions for the sake of seeking mercy from Chuoku. From this point forward, Ramada's lyrics start mentioning themes of changing his own destiny and looking to the future. He's departed from his previously empty worldview, and has replaced it with his newfound purpose of staying alive to the best of his ability, and at least seeing things through to the end with his teammates. In the most recent group song from Fling Posse, Get on the Floor, Ramada rejects the label of Chuoku's dog that he used to cheerfully accept, and he describes tearing the strings off a marionette. The chorus of the song begins with "Set me free" in English. Ramada is no longer Chuoku's property. He's a fugitive. His epic journey into the unknown is no longer just the fairy tale told in Stella. Ramada has chosen his own path. Albeit a treacherous one, he's chosen it for himself, and he's found companions to make the trek with him. And with the third DRB on the horizon, it's unlikely that Fling Posse's road ends here.